Hi, I'm Kristin Davis, and I want to know, are you a Charlotte? So we're back to the beginning of the show. We're on for Women in a Funeral, which is wonderful. And we go to the funeral. There's so many funny jokes. I mean, I'd forgotten that this guy, Javier, died of a heroin overdose, but Carrie knew him when he was, what's the non-Javier, Harry or whatever. Like, it's all very funny. And we're at I had also totally forgotten about this entire Samantha storyline. And I do not remember any other time where Samantha has other women, like wives of guys that she's messed around with, giving her a hard time like this. I hadn't remembered any of that. And it was super fascinating. Do you remember these women?
Sort of, yes.
Like they're like society women. She has to go see.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
The grand dame to try to get her because she makes out with some dude in his office, and his wife walks in.
Well, she gets caught on the sofa with the guy, and the wife walks in. So yeah, she has to go and get on her knees virtually and plead her case with this woman.
Right, and it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
And she shames her. And Samantha says, do you want me to say I'm a whore? I was like, what? I don't remember this at all. And part of me, I do feel like some of this, and I need to ask Darren and Michael, I feel like some of this, we got so much mixed commentary after the first season of like, who are these women? No one wants to date these women, from male critics, right? And I feel like some of that was incorporated into storylines to say like, we know what you're all saying, and by the way, we don't care. We're going to write it in, and I felt like that was the scene. And it's interesting because she says like, do you want me to say this? And the woman's just sitting there, and then she says it, and then it doesn't work. And then she's like, well, fine, and then she goes and has to do like manual labor at the building of this charity thing that she was trying to make. I don't remember any of it. And it was so adorable. And she's wearing like regular clothes, and she's dirty. But then it's Leonardo DiCaprio, who we filmed without showing because it's obviously not him. Do you remember this? You light him from behind and he reaches down to her. It's so good.
Yeah, that little kind of silly moment of kind of an homage to the Leonardo da Vinci, the fingers.
Yes, it was beautiful. It was so good. I didn't remember any of this. This is what I love so much about rewatching is like the details and the interesting things that there was so much of it. It was packed in to this, 25 minutes, 22 minutes. And you look back and it's amazing.
I know it does. It feels like an hour show. It really does. And not because it's slow, but because so much happens.
Yeah, so much happens. And every little thing is really interesting, especially when you're looking at it. And then you think like, I could watch it again. Like now I understand when people come up and say, I've watched the show so many times and it's always so flattering. Now I really get like you can see something different every time you look at it.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Anyway, I diverted from the in order rewatching, but that Samantha storyline really caught me off guard. I didn't remember it at all, and I think it's just so great and fascinating. So we're there. I also think it's really funny that Carrie and I rarely dress the same. We dress in the black dresses, and we're like, critical. I'm like, is that an inappropriate outfit? I say to Samantha, and then we're the ones who are inappropriate because we didn't wear the designer Javier, which is all kind of funny. And then we get there. I borrow Samantha's hat because I feel like I'm boringly dressed, and then it blows off, which I vaguely remember. Oh my God. And there's another thing coming, but I'm going to try to be in order. And then we talk about this woman getting the sister of the designer, getting all the plastic surgery done, which and then we make a Donatella Versace joke. I mean, we're very like kind of ahead of our time, I think, in some ways.
Sure, you were.
Right? It's crazy. And then Samantha decides to help them so that she can get their mailing list, which is interesting. This is when like she's in like publicist mode. And then we're going to get, oh my God, I don't even want to tell my story yet because Miranda's story of buying the apartment is so fantastic and literally hasn't changed. Like when you go as myself, I have bought a house by myself. Thank God I have the money. They literally are like, and where's the money coming from? And like when workmen come over, they're like, and who should I talk to about the billing? I'm like, me. Like it is so insane. The sexist element.
Well, that's right. I mean, in fact, I really know the guy that plays making her fill out the form. So that's, he keeps saying, and finally he's just sort of says, and that's you, or something like that.
Right. He's like, and he literally says, is your father paying the down payment?
Right. Right. That was Seth Barish, is actually a friend of mine, and he's just wonderful in that. He's kind of he doesn't even see her. He's just like any guy, like lawyer like that, who's just, this is just a object across the table from him, and he's dehumanized her completely the way he treats her.
Right. And I mean, I think we've all had those moments when you're dealing with money and stuff where people, you're not a person. But I loved how you shot that too, because you don't do coverage. You just did the angle of them at the table looking at each other and the profile. It's so powerful. Yeah. And she is just sitting there going like, yes, it's just me. Yes, it's just me.
I don't remember if I did close-ups, but if I did them in profile.
Got it. I mean, yeah, they are close-ups. What I mean is you didn't come around. Yeah, they are. You're right.
I didn't want to connect them. I wanted to say there is no connection here. Hence, I didn't put the camera over them and connect them. I always kept them in separate scenes, separate shots, so that you're saying there is no connection here. It's just two. Right.
And also, it's just such a powerful shot because there's a bit of backlighting. There might be another window there, and it's just very strong silhouette. Yet you totally understand what's happening in the scene. Like it works. It works so beautifully. And I just love her entire storyline because poor Miranda, oh my God, she goes through it. She buys herself this apartment, which really should be just purely a celebration of your success in life. Yet she is made to feel bad by her neighbor, who tells her that the woman before her died in the apartment and no one found her and her cat ate her face, which, hopefully is not true, right? But her neighbor tells her this, and Miranda then has a panic attack in her apartment and almost chokes and has to call Carrie. And I only vaguely remembered all this, but it's like so powerful and good and amazing to think about how in many ways it's still so true for single women.
Oh yeah, no, I know it's very, and I actually, just a footnote, has nothing to do with anything except that I think Barbara Siegel, I believe, played the real estate agent who brings her in.
Oh yeah.
And I knew her because I had directed her in an off Broadway play before I was even making a living as a director. I remember that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was just a funny small world,
It's fun to, I mean, we have the most amazing actors in literally every part in our show.
Oh yeah. I was just thinking, I just had to get her name because I couldn't remember it. Molly Price.
Yes, I had her on last week.
She has a moment with you in another episode when the dog, your dog barks.
Yep.
That only a dog will be, and you're on the bed. You remember this?
Yes, it's so good.
That moment, her reaction to that is, I had to watch it like 3 times.
It's so good. And I had her on the podcast. She also came into the first episode of And Just Like That as Susan Sharon. And I went to college with Molly. Like, talk about multiple connections.
Really?
Yes. We went to Rutgers with Bill Esper at the conservatory within Rutgers.
Well, it's funny. I know Bill Esper, I know who he is, because I had a girlfriend at that time who had studied with him.
Oh.
And her good friend was Esper's assistant.
Wow.
But it's funny, but I had all these, interconnect, these other kind of connections to Esper. So I'm very aware of him and yeah.
Yes. And also weirdly at Rutgers, in New Brunswick, Gandolfini was a bartender at this restaurant, the Frog and the Toad, I believe it was called, something like that I used to go to before I quit drinking, which now I have quit drinking. And I think he was a BA student. We were in the BFA program, but he was there in a way, not in a way where I saw him perform, but when I remembered that he had been the bartender because he was really interesting, obviously. But I mean, insane connections, right? Insane connections. And just a little side note, because you're Sopranos and us, and you're the first person that I've talked to who has been both, but we obviously had just so many memories and so many, like, to come up together was incredible. Obviously, we could never have even understood how incredible, right? But do you remember at Silver Cup when we would both be there and they were on stage X, which we went back and shot, not this past season of And Just Like That, but the one before, we were back on Silver Cup, which is literally like falling down around us. But we were there And my set got to be on stage X, which had been The Sopranos. You had to go outside to get into it. Yeah. I got to be there. I felt very privileged. But back in the day, remember there was like that middle area of Silver Cup because it had been the bread factory. So it wasn't really like a proper studio. And the different stages would kind of have like a common area of hallways. And the Sopranos would have their craft services, which was like going to the best Italian restaurant that you could possibly imagine. And our craft services was really, really not that. No offense to anyone who made it. But we would just be like, how can and they would guard that food. Do you know what I mean? Like they'd be like, no, you can't come over here. And we'd be like, please, could we have some meatballs? Like, you know what I mean? On like hour 15, right? You're like really wanting the Sopranos meatballs, but you can't have them. Do you remember all this? Like it's such a crazy time.
I didn't realize that the mob was keeping you away from our food.
They were prizing that food because it was good. It was really good. It's just crazy to think about. I mean, there's something so adorably kind of humble and New York-ish about the fact that we filmed those two shows. We started in 97 or whatever year. I think that was the year of our pilots. We filmed in an old bread factory that was not supposed to be a studio by HBO, who was not supposed to be a player. You know what I mean? Obviously, it turned into one. Thank God. But just the humbleness of it all in the beginning.
Well, I agree with you. That was really, that's well put. There was something about that, particularly my first season before The Sopranos was a hit, and Sex and the City, which was, I guess it was his second season. There was something about that I sometimes refer to it as, the best summer job I ever had. What I did last summer, when you write those little things when you were a kid. And it was really like, I remember walking out and the Teamsters would be kind of leaning back in their folding chairs with a TV they'd set up because there was the Yankees were playing. And it was just like, I remember thinking, this is the best job you could have, or you're doing The Sopranos and then you're doing Sex and the City. I just felt so privileged to be, basically shuttling between those two shows.
Yeah.
Silver Cup, with the greatest view of the city you could have possibly imagine. Looked like a backdrop for a play about New York, except it was real. And so I agree with you. There was something about that, aside from the fact that you got blocked from partaking of the food.
It's okay.
You know what? Everybody on The Sopranos after the first season gained weight. I mean, if you look at the second.
Yeah. How could you not? It was incredible.
I mean, it was just, and then I still remember, not to talk about The Sopranos, but I do remember.
It's fun.
I mean, it's the cousin of your show.
Yeah.
It's that I remember we were shooting a scene at the Bada Bing, and the so-called back room of the Bada Bing, where they're all having lunch and then pasta and stuff. And so when you shoot an eating scene, and this would be true of Sex and the City, you always have a spit bucket so that people don't have to eat all this food, and they just pretend to eat, and then they just spit it out at the end of the take. So we're shooting that, and I go over and I was looking at the guys, and the guys had the spit bucket up on the table there, but it's completely clean. I said, "What's the deal there?" He said, "They just eat everything." He said, "They don't spit anything." So we did like four takes, and they would eat 4 meals.
Wow. You know what? I think that's a theme, because people have asked me about the spit bucket thing. We never, ever used a spit bucket. But I think it was because Michael, and I feel like also Darren, really wanted us to eat and keep talking. Right. So we didn't really have the opportunity to be like, okay, spit, and we would order something that wasn't going to be insane, right, for 8,000,000 takes or whatever. But you remember how they loved to have Cynthia with her mouth open, literally which she was game to do, Well,
you guys did that very well, because it is hard for actors to eat and talk, and it's always a challenge. And you guys, all 4 of you, really you never question it. It's these women are just eating and talking, and you never think about it. And somebody wisely decided not to serve maybe like spinach or something, so you didn't get a piece of green.
But I mean, one time they have that as a storyline for Cynthia. They were just like, let's let Cynthia do all that stuff, and she does. She has no self-consciousness about these things. God bless her. All right, back to the show because that was really fun. Okay, so oh wait, this is. See, one of the things I love about your episodes is that when I'm watching my own development as Charlotte and kind of easing into like my body, like being really present and letting go of some of the anxiety that I have in the first season, we're in the car after the funeral. It's Sarah Jessica, Kim, and I, and we're just chatting. We all fit in the back seat. We must have been in some big old car, and you somehow lit us beautifully in the back of this car. I don't know how. I don't really remember filming this, which sometimes I do remember. Like in the older cars, you could get in the front seat with the camera, and is that what you did? Do you remember? Yeah.
I remember. I mean, I think Michael Spiller, I'm sure, shot it. So
we should ask Michael Spiller. Yes.
He gets credit for the lighting. I mean, yeah, and we probably are in the front of I can't remember if it's a limo, in which case.
I think it is.
I think it is. But again, you would have had to make sure that it was not a partition so you could get the camera there.
Right.
And I think at that point, we were not allowed to shoot kind of the wider format that we eventually did on, I think on both 178 or whatever it was. But
right.
But originally it was, a narrower format. So it was always hard to get 3 people.
Really hard. I know. That's what I was saying. I was like, I can't believe we're all here and we all look great. That's amazing. And it's like the beginning of Charlotte, like also at the dinner scene when they talk about Miranda saying, that she's buying her apartment. And I say, oh no, it messes up the power structure between men and women. You have to rent. That's why I rent. Like it's a crazy, crazy conversation. But the good news is they just giggle at me so lovingly. They don't roll their eyes. You know what I mean? They're just, oh, that's Charlotte, But it's interesting because as much as I don't agree with my own character's point of view at those moments, it is actually kind of makes some sense, from that perspective, right? Because like here Miranda is thinking like, I'm buying an apartment, it's amazing. Yet everyone's just doubting her and sent her down a road of like self-doubt where she has panic attacks and she's going to die alone, which is what society will do to you. You know what I mean?
True enough.
Yeah, so Charlotte's kind of the voice of that in some ways, which is not unimportant, But at the time, I remember being like, "Oh no, I don't want to say this," because I'm not really like that, right? But it's important, I think, to have the different point of views, and I think that's part of what was great about the show.
Well, your character, really, Charlotte's, she really stands apart from the other 3 because they tend to be all pretty much in agreement. I mean, if they actually disagree, of course, but she really is always just tagging along. I mean, they're somehow either correcting you or sort of gently teasing you or can't believe that, even when you decide you've had it with men and you're just going to get a dog, they're pretty gentle about all those things. I think that I love the way it's handled because Charlotte is never treated poorly by any of the women, as best I remember. But she is clearly following her own drummer. I mean, that's for sure.
Right, which is actually really strong in so many ways. When I look back on it, I mean, I did know, like, I don't think you had to direct any of the ones where I really give like a long speech, like a didactic. Like I have one where I have the book. I haven't gotten into it yet in the rewatch, but I have a book about how to get a husband or something kind of like horrific. And I'm like, la, 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 for like a page and a half, and they have to just sit there and that they don't agree with it, right? But I just keep going because that's how Charlotte believes, like she believes 100%, which I love that, but it's also hard.
But it's a good quality. I never thought of that. It's a nice quality about her is that she's very committed to whatever her latest thing is, whether it's a dog or she just goes full ahead, full steam ahead.
Definitely, most definitely. And like that's what I also like about the widow storyline in this episode. It makes such good emotional sense that this is interesting to her. Like when we're walking down the street, which I do remember shooting with Kurt Deutsch, plays the guy. And I remember him struggling a little bit. I hope this is okay that I'm saying this with he's supposed to be crying and this turns Charlotte on. Yeah. And I remember, I feel like you guys had a conversation about the fact that he might be putting it on.
Yeah. I wondered about that when I was watching it, and I thought, I'm not sure. I don't remember what I had said to him, but I had the feeling when I was watching it, it's like, yeah, I'm not convinced that this guy is really feeling this, and he's a
Right.
good enough actor that if he needed to, he could, but
Right.
it may be one of those things. Again, I just don't remember quite what the conversation was, but it could be one of those things where it's like there's some reality to it, but he just milks it.
Right. Well, because in the end, when all the other women get out of the car to come to this ceremony at the wife's grave and they all have the lilies, and that's when I beat him with the lilies. And sorry, I gave you a terrible allergy, but that's
It was
that.
worth it.
I'm glad. But that's it all makes sense when you think it through, right? Because he very well was milking it. But I do
Oh, yeah.
remember, I remember him being stressed and somehow you saying something to him that freed him to do the scene, like, there are layers, like there's different ways to come at it.
Yeah, I think that, but yeah, no, but it's a sweet scene in a way, I mean, Charlotte is so taken with his, vulnerability.
Right. Which makes perfect sense for her. Like it's good. I liked it. I hadn't remembered this as one of the main thing I remembered about this episode was the rain and the hill and ruining my shoes and being cold. And then when I look back on it, I'm like, no, this is like real. It's a big step forward in Charlotte's character development, because every element of that makes sense, right? She goes to the girls. First of all, she says, you got to rent because the power dynamic. Then she says, no, he's full of feeling. He's been through this thing. It shows he can commit, but yet he's vulnerable. And then, he cries on the street and she's like, oh, she wants to mother so badly, which I don't think she realizes in an intellectual way, but you see it. Like it's a great episode for her. And I'm so happy that you were there so that it could be good.
Well, I will say that what you just made me think is that Charlotte really is an interesting character in that she's willing, for a person who's essentially cautious and conservative. She's always trying new things. She's willing to try something. She's very game about the next thing that she's going to do.
So
and
true.
Then fully commits to that new adventure in the search for Charlotte.
It's so true. It's so true, especially in the early days, and it's interesting as she's, developed and as we go, and obviously many, many things happen, and I'm still playing her. And sometimes when I look back, I'm like, I need to remember this stuff, like, because I'm still playing her, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It's in me. But like sometimes there's little details that I forget, and it's super fascinating. Oh my God, there's another time when Miranda thinks she's going to die by herself, and she calls Carrie, and Carrie's screening her calls because Big has been calling her after she called Big. I'm out of order now, but this is how I roll. And Carrie, sorry, Miranda says to Carrie, is such a very rare moment. She says, on my emergency list, I have my parents, but I don't even like them, and they live in Pennsylvania. And Carrie says, why don't you have me? And Miranda says, I can't put you because you screen your calls. This is when she's had to go to the hospital with a panic attack.
Right.
It's such a great scene, and it's so powerful. And I don't remember her ever previously saying, my parents are in Pennsylvania and I don't like them. Like, it's so fascinating.
Well, that's funny, but I had forgotten that, and now that you're saying it, I'd forgotten that, and but also too, the technologically, it must be interesting for people to watch it now because there's scenes in payphone booths. I mean, there's one scene, in fact, where Carrie calls from a phone booth, and I had decided to have it raining.
Yes.
Because I wanted to. Again, this is inside baseball here, but
no, I love it.
I like the suggestion of tears on the
yes
phone. And I think she's pretty emotional in that.
It's when we think she's calling Big, she runs off from,
that's right,
maybe Bradley Cooper.
Yeah,
she runs off from somebody, and she runs to the phone booth, and you think she's like, I had to call, and you think she's calling Big, but she's calling Miranda. It's so good.
I know, it's great. And then it's raining there too. It's on the windows, and it just, I always like to include, and I did it a good deal, or whenever I could, on Sex and the City, of including weather, because it's got a sensual quality, and when you watch movies when there's rain or there's fog or there's it really, you feel it, and it makes the events feel more relatable, because and it's visually really interesting too, and it was just better to see her through the refracted light of the raindrops on the glass, and and so on.
Definitely. But see, you just gave yourself away because you said we had to give credit to Spiller for the lighting. No, you are the mastermind. I knew it. Because there's such a difference. Like, because obviously everyone's working together. It's a true collaboration, right? But you up everybody's game when you have a vision.
Well, I'd like to think that.
It's true.
I did when I was just getting started, I did this show called New York Undercover.
Oh, yeah.
There was a DP on that. And he later became, an executive producer on Criminal Minds, I think. And I went by for another reason. I was trying to help a woman who I was trying to sort of help her get started as a director. And so I went over there to say, you should have this person shadow or whatever. And we ended up in a conversation, and he said something to me that at the time I wasn't sure how to take it, but I think it was a good thing. He meant it well. And that was, he said, every time you would come to do an episode, I would get nervous. Because I was never sure I could do what you wanted.
Oh, that's sweet, though.
It was. It really, in retrospect, it was like, oh, okay, good. So I was challenging him, and under limited circumstances, and that's not a show that was noted for its look, but but anyway, he said that, and I thought, well, good.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. I mean, I think with actors, I've known different actors, some of whom want to feel that way from a director, and some of whom it might make us shut down, right? So it's like, I personally, I feel like with you, the thing that you did that I loved, especially at the timing that you came, right? When we were like all possibility, you know what I mean? I felt like we were excited and ready to play and ready to do all this stuff, but we needed guidance. We needed like to get like coalesced into what we became. And you were a big part of that. And for me, I felt like technically, like that scene you said where we had to find the lens and kind of find the reason that we would walk to that person, like stuff like that is really like, we get to, we have to think, and we have to do this, and we have to remember. And, there's like an extra added technical challenge, which is really fun. But then from an emotional standpoint, you're very safe feeling. Like we can ask you anything. We can talk to you. We don't have to feel like, oh, we've got to keep our personal stuff in check and just perform, which you do feel with some directors, which I don't love that feeling.
I'm glad that comes across. I really do truly, with almost no exceptions. I can think of two, but other than that, of all of the things I've done, I just love working with actors. I really like to be around actors. I like to feel that it's fun and that it's game, and and I do think, maybe not quite consciously, I'm not going to let anything bad happen,
Right.
I mean,
but we can feel that,
That's great, because I want everybody to have fun and to feel relaxed. I mean, because I don't think I'm sure there are directors who get great results by creating massive tension on the set, but I'm not one of them. I mean,
No, you're not. Thank God. We didn't need that. We had to walk in those shoes. We had to do all kind of craziness. We didn't need any extra added element from a director. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes my guest is more interesting to me than my paper, and you are one of that times. So my listeners, please bear with me. I'm going to try to hit the main parts. I mean, I feel there's so many important things that happen in this episode, but I feel one of them is the Miranda, which we have kind of hit on, and I feel like it's so great because it really sets up so much of her future development, right? That she's afraid she's going to die alone and that her cat's going to eat her face. It's like, but she's so good at it, and also funny at the same time. Like when she's almost choking, she's really funny.
She is. I mean, she does. She finds a way to do that that's amusing, and it's not alarming, but amusing.
Right, because it could be very scary, because I knew what was coming. I remember I was like, oh my God, this is when she almost chokes, but she's really, really funny. And then the other thing that is so good, I mean, so many things are so good, but I love, because I have previously been struggling with the big relationship in first season. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that, we filmed the pilot in 1997. And back then, you didn't really talk about withholding men so much. It was just like kind of how it was. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't have the social media vocabulary of like, blah, blah, blah. You're better than that girl, whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's different times. Yeah. And my own perspective is different being older. Right. And back then I think I also feel that, Charlotte was very pro-big. And so I don't think that I questioned it because I play Charlotte and I just was like, yes, of course I'm pro-big. Why wouldn't I be? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to play the character. You got to commit. So I think I did. And now I'm looking back on it going like, Carrie deserves better. That's how I felt the whole first season. But this episode, what I see when I look at them, and I think this is because of this vibe that you're able to create, he is a completely different, much more likable, relatable, charming character. Like when they go bowling, it is like an epiphany.
Yeah, it is.
It's an incredible scene.
I love that scene. I just watched it last night, and I mean, they're both so cute. I mean,
my God!
I mean, which after she bowl, I mean,
it's real. It's real. You can tell that's Sarah Jessica.
Oh yeah, I mean, and she's just adorable. I mean, she really is. And
she really is.
And it's like, I've forgotten how adorable she is.
Right.
And, on and off screen, of course.
Yes.
But my relationship with her primarily was on screen, and just watching that is like, oh, she's so cute and so friggin' funny, and so is Chris. I mean, you go, oh, that's why she likes him.
Yes, exactly.
Why she likes him, because
yes,
funny.
Thank God.
He's funny, he's sexy, he's good looking. I mean, he's all of those things, and she is too. And so, I mean, and the chemistry between the two of them is so palpable, And of course, there's the scene. It's not that episode, but where they fall in the lake,
yes.
It's a very 1930s movie moment.
So great.
It's like something Katharine Hepburn would do. And
yes.
And they're charming in that. I mean, they're just, these two human beings adore each other and have fun. And that's why I like that scene I mentioned on the bed when they just sort of talk. You just think, they can't, as she says, it's like that red wall. It's a good idea, but it just doesn't work. And that's the nature of that relationship. But you're right. I mean, I think that bowling scene is really charming.
I mean, it's incredible. And it's the first time that I finally felt like, because also it's so hard to really separate the people from the characters, right? Because obviously we were all together and I know them and whatnot. But when I'm watching it, because there's been kind of this fan, upset about Carrie and Carrie Big together, whatever. And I've always been like, what are they talking about? But when I watch it back, I can kind of see from the lens of 2025 why they're like, why is she with him? Or why does she want him? Or why does she put up with that? But then by the time we get to this bowling scene, because of the ease, there's like an ease that I think the chemistry was there since the pilot, obviously, right? And she's her incredibly sparkly, charming self when you're on her. And he's his incredibly charismatic, slightly covered self when you're on him. And you can feel that there's something between them. But in this scene, the bowling scene and the sequence leading up to the bowling scene, like they have dinner and it's super sexy and all of that. But the bowling scene, if you just take that out and look at it, it's like gangbusters. I mean, I could put it against any film scene of anyone in a romantic comedy or not. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I adored the scene when I saw it last night. And, I mean, I sort of was looking at it like I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Just like objectively, they're charming and they're swell together. And, and there's some moments I understand. I mean, we live in a different world now, and world in which it's very easy to judge the past from the superior position of the present. Something I find, frankly, annoying at times.
I get it.
Yeah, just because it's like, people feel like they know so much more than the ignoramuses who lived 20 years ago, who lived through it 20, 30 years ago. No, but we're all a part of the period we live in. I mean, people will look back at those people who are standing in judgment on the earlier, generations and go, what's wrong with them? I mean, it's every generation looks back on the previous generations and judges them. Unfortunately, I think that judgment is not to hold us. And, pontificate here, but
Go for it.
well, it's just people tend to judge. It doesn't matter. I mean, everybody's a critic. Everybody's
Yeah.
a judge. Everybody's knows more. Everybody's smarter. Everybody's, would never make those mistakes, which is just absurd. I
Right.
mean, you live in the time you live in, and just like we're living in one now.
Right.
And those who stand in judgment in the past will look as absurd, frankly, in the future as to another generation as they find that people like the character of Big looks to them. It's
Right.
a different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, that's another reason I wanted to do the podcast is because I think it's super interesting, to look at what's different, what's the same, but I don't want to judge. And someone went on my podcast Instagram and said, what's your problem with Big and Carrie? You keep talking about it. And no. I'm just trying to understand it. I mean, we made the show we made. I love the show we made. Like, obviously, I would never do a podcast about it if I didn't love it. I'm still doing the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love it, obviously. But this person said, you're being disrespectful. I'm like, no, I don't actually think I'm being disrespectful. I'm just trying to look at it, right? And I see positives and negatives. Like, it's a complex picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are things that you would do different. And look, everybody in our game would do something different. Would not be satisfied with their own work, would do something different. But we don't, in hindsight, but that's
right.
You don't get that. You're not allowed to shoot something and see it from the perspective of someone 20 years later and judge it. You just have to do it and do the best you can. And
right. And the thing is, it's amazing. Like, that's what I love. Like, thank God, right? Since I hadn't really seen it since way back, I'm like, well, thank God. Even the first season that I, in my mind, had thought was like a hot mess, right? I look back and there's so much good in it. And yes, it hasn't gelled, I would say, but the pieces are there, right? And you're looking at it and you're like, where are they? Where's the light? But there's something so charming about that, and charming about the fact that we were allowed to find ourselves. We were allowed to develop and keep going, and everyone involved wanted to be better, right? So we're all in it together, and then we're adding elements like thank God for Michael Hill going, yeah, let's get Alan Coulter over here, Well,
thank God. And thank God I had a great relationship with Michael too. I mean,
yeah, because he held the purse strings.
He did, but he was great. I mean, he was really, and the other Michael Patrick,
yes.
relationship with him was great, and so I felt, free to be me. I mean, free to do things.
And you made us feel free, and that's really like such a powerful thing as an actor in any circumstance, but especially in the circumstance where we were really at that point building something. We were in like a growth phase, like a building phase, where I think we knew it on some level that we had so much great stuff available to us, but it hadn't really, found like gelled in like 100%, but we're right on the edge of it. And then you come and I see it all bump up like so much, visually, emotionally, like our bodies are more calm, just because of what you've created on the set, which is the power of a director. You can create tension, you can create fear. Some people do that. That's their way. This is what I love so much about you, so many things. But number one, your vision was, so elevated for us. Like, you took our show to the next level visually.
Right. Oh,
and in terms of the storytelling and the way that you included these elements, and just talking to you, you're telling me so many other details that I hadn't even realized that now I have to go back and look again, that's what you want, right? But then also just as an actor, I can say you created a confidence in me, like a trust that I could do it. So like I was challenged, but at the same time, I felt like, oh yes, I can do this. I can play Charlotte. And when I look at myself on screen, like my shoulders are down, like my voice is calmer. I mean, I'm still her, right? But there's a level of ease that I didn't have till you came. So thank you.
I'm thrilled to hear that. Really, I mean, it was really, it was such a pleasure to work with you and the other women. I mean, it was just, I was so happy to be there, and it was just a pleasure. I mean, I was coming from a very dark world, next door, literally next door, where the food was protected and the world and it was a dark vision, and it was it was like a big I mean, I loved everybody, and
Of course.
it was a big dysfunctional Italian family, and
Yeah.
with all the things that came with that. And then I would come over to Sex and the City, and it was like, oh, this is such a relief, and it's.
That's so nice to hear. That's so nice to hear. I just remember also just like the funny, like, cock-a-doodle-doo, like you brought so much charm just in your person. Do you know what I mean? Ooh, it was good. It was good.
And I remember, I mean, I just forgot. And then I just saw it in one of the early, maybe the first episode I directed, I can't remember. There was something, I was trying to get background to a guy to do something, and I couldn't get him to do it. I explained it to him a bunch of times, and I was just kind of losing my patience. And Sarah Jessica said, well, you just do it. So there is a moment.
Yes, you're standing on the street and she bumps into you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes!
Yeah.
It was so good. I remember that too. And I remember thinking, how did that happen? Because I don't think of you as being a director who's like trying to be in the show. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all. Believe me. I was
right.
Like,
but it's so good. It's so perfect. And there's one time too, and I don't think this was one you directed, but Spiller one time is a guy on the street talking to the camera. Like, it's so funny. And then one time Camille, who was in casting, is one of the people. Like, there's so many people that I think back then we were just like rolling as quick as we could, right? So if like something happened with an actor, we were like, just get in there.
Yeah,
It's fun. It is really fun. Alan, you're a joy. I'm not even going to try to rewatch anymore because we covered our bases. We covered all the important things.
That's great. I'm so glad. Thank you. I'm very honored that you asked me to do this. So thank you.
Thank you. You're my first director that's not Michael Patrick King, who's been on. So thank you very much.
I'm honored. And I'm flattered that you asked me, and it was fun to do. And you look fantastic, by the way. I don't know.
Thanks so much.
Whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
I have some big lights on me. As you can see in my glasses when I move around. But thank you so much. I also would like to live in your house. It's very beautiful and you look great. And I'm so happy that you're living up there and I hope you're happy.
I am. Thank you so much, Kristin.
Good. Well, just know that we love you and we think about you. And sometimes we quote you on the set of And Just Like That.
I'm so happy to hear that. And please give my love to the whole gang.
I will. You should come back and be with us.
I adore them all. So
I'm so glad. I'm so glad we adore you back.
Okay.
Mwah! Nice to see you. Thank you for coming.
Okay. See you.
Okay. Bye.